Fabiola Barraclough. Welcome to Language Tools for Effective Project Writing. This course was designed and developed to help researchers like you write winning proposals. It's based on our experience as translators and proofreaders, and also on many years of experience as English teachers within the context of teaching English as a foreign language. We hope it will be eminently practical and that you will be able to use all the tools that you learn during this course to write winning proposals. So in this first module, I'm just going to give you an overview of the course structure and what we are going to be doing. Okay, so as you will have seen, we have 12 modules, and each module starts off in the same way and takes as a starting point one section of a project proposal template. We are using a Horizon Research and Innovation Action template for this course. Okay, that doesn't mean that this course is only limited to that kind of proposal. You will be learning a lot of language tools that you will be able to apply to many different ambits of academic writing. So we start off by looking at the content and advice and focus of each section briefly, and then we go on to look at real life examples and how they could be improved. So we will be doing a lot of streamlining, in other words, cutting out all those unnecessary words so that we can get our main messages across more effectively and clearly. We will also be looking at how to structure our writing and also at issues related to grammar and style. So all in all, you can see that this is a very comprehensive course, and the aspects that we deal with within the English language section are related to studies that have been carried out on discourse and target basically the most common mistakes or areas for improvement. So, as I said, we will be following Horizon Research and Innovation Action Proposal template, and these are the different sections that we will be discussing. And then the last module, we are going to carry out a workshop to put all of this into practice. Each module finishes off with some practical tasks that you should hand in to me over the platform, and we will get back to you with feedback. So, first of all, let's have a look at this question of effective writing. What is effective writing? We're also going to have a look at the steps in the writing process that are fundamental. And then we're going to have a look at the evaluation process in the context of project proposals. So, as non-native speakers, we all fall into translation pitfalls. I myself do so. And so if we take this sentence here that I've taken from the Underground, okay, I would like you to have a look at it and to translate it for me, or tell me how you would say it in English. Perhaps you could write it down. Al salir, tengan cuidado de no introducir el pie entre coche y anden. How would you say that in English? So perhaps if you've traveled in the London Underground, you will know what we say in English. We say, mind the gap. Okay, so you can see that it is radically different. And so obviously at this point, I do not expect that you are writing your project proposals in your native language and then translating into English. But it is very difficult not to do it in your head. Okay, so we're going to try to move away and move into English, recognize the styles that are more common in English, and try to adopt those styles. Just another little point, English translations are about 25% shorter than their Spanish equivalents, which is why you'll always get charged on the original Spanish text. I'm pointing this out because, as we can see here, we have to try to move away from this kind of literal translation and move into the other language. And in English, we are going to be using short sentences. We're going to be using almost kind of telegraphic style, so to speak. All right, so we're going to be learning to edit and cut out a lot of unnecessary wordiness. Here's a little example of the kind of thing we are going to be doing. If you have a look here, you'll see in the left-hand column that we have a text, an original text, that is extremely verbose, and it has an extremely long sentence here. If I were to read it, I would run out of breath, okay? So perhaps you'd just like to take a moment to read that text. Okay, and we can see that the text basically says, we propose a multidisciplinary approach to tackle obesity in young children because early intervention is more effective to deal with the negative health implications. Okay, so this is the kind of thing that we are going to be doing in this course. Okay, we are going to be taking real examples, we are going to analyze them and say, hey, how can we edit this to improve it? All right, so that's what we're going to be doing step by step. We are going to learn to recognize and eradicate bad academic writing habits and aim for clear, concise, and well-organized texts. Okay? We are going to try to make it easy for our readers. We are not going to take shortcuts. We are going to go through all the steps in the writing process. We are going to plan, draft, revise, and polish. Okay? And as I said before, streamline. We're going to cut out all those unnecessary words. So what's good writing? It's communicating an idea clearly, focus on your main message, concisely, in as few words as possible, and effectively. All right? So reader-friendly texts with clear take-home messages. And we are going to learn all of that on this course. So the next point in this introductory module relates to the steps in the writing process, which I just mentioned. What are these steps? Well, the first is the pre-writing, obviously, and this will involve task analysis, content, focus, research, brainstorming, concept maps. This is a fundamental step and one that should never be skipped. The second stage, or the second step, is drafting. And this is where we write a rough draft in sentences and paragraphs in the right order. And we're going to be looking at questions of order. And we're not going to worry much about the grammar or the style at this point. We're just going to get things down as quickly as possible. And then comes the third step, the revision step. So we're going to revise, we're going to edit, we're going to proofread, and we are going to correct and polish. Okay, this is actually quite difficult to do to one's own writing. And so it's often useful to be able to send your texts to somebody at that point to get some feedback. All right, but these are the 3 main steps. So my next question to you is, proportionally, how much time do you spend on each of those steps? How much time do you spend on the pre-writing, on the writing, and on the revision? Do you skip any of those steps? Do you skip the first and the third and you just sit down and start writing? Okay, perhaps you could just think about that for a moment and write down a proportion. I don't know, 20, 80, 0. What do the experts recommend? Well, the experts recommend the following. The pre-writing should represent 40% of the writing process. The draft, just 20%, and the revision, 40%. Okay, so you can see that in fact the first and the third steps are perhaps the most important ones. And we are going to try to follow this advice, and in the writing tasks that we carry out, we're going to try to include all those steps. So, one thing I thought that we could mention at this stage is the difference between writing an academic paper and a project proposal. Okay, we have another course that deals with writing academic papers, and I'm sure that as researchers you are familiar with writing up your research results. However, many of you will have less experience in writing project proposals. So what are the main differences? To begin with, your audience, okay? When you write an academic paper, you're writing for other academics in your field, other experts. They already know about your field, they understand your jargon and more or less what you're talking about, your peers, okay? However, in a project proposal, that is not the case because you are writing for different audiences. You are writing for experts who are going to assess or evaluate the excellence part, but you are also writing for the commission and for stakeholders, other people who are involved and influenced by your project. So we have a much wider audience, and as such, in language terms, we have to embrace other forms of language which are perhaps more akin to fields of business or to popular science dissemination. Okay, so here we have a wider audience, and this will have an influence on the language that we use. Another question relates to structure, and we will be having a look at this in depth. In an academic paper, you go from the general, the big picture, to the specific, to the little picture. However, in a project proposal, we should go from the specific, in other words, our proposal, to the general. Okay? Justify why I'm making this proposal. The focus. The focus is obviously different. Here we're discussing our research results. And in this case, for a project proposal, we're talking about challenges, objectives, expected outcome, impact. The focus, and finally, the language. The language, as we mentioned, related to the audience. For our peers, it's discipline specific. We're using jargon. We will be using the present tense when we're talking about what is known, the past tense when we are discussing our results, okay? But in a project, we are going to be overlapping, mixing academic and business we are going to be using assertive language, and we will be using the present and the future tenses. So you can see that there is in fact a great difference between writing a research paper and writing a project proposal, and often this creates some difficulty. Okay. All right, and now for the last section in this introductory module, which is a very short module, relates to the evaluation process. So I am writing my project. Who for? Who's reading this? What is the evaluation process? Okay. Important questions to consider when writing. Who is my target audience? Are they specialists in my field or non-specialists? What information are they looking for, and what exactly are they evaluating? So this is taken from the European website, and we can see the main steps in the evaluation process. Okay, there are 3 main steps. First of all, when you write your proposal, it goes to the Commission for them to check if it's eligible, and according to the topic, they will allocate it to the experts. Normally, there are 3 experts, perhaps there may be 5, but normally 3. And these experts, who are experts in your field, will carry out first an individual evaluation, then they'll draw up a consensus report, and finally this goes to the panel, and they will write up a panel report with an evaluation summary, and they will rank it. Okay, and then it goes back to the Commission, where it receives its final ranking. So you can see that this evaluation process involves both experts and non-experts. So looking at it in table form here, you will have all of this material because you will need more time to look at it in depth, okay? But I'm just kind of looking at it, giving you an overview here, is that you have the different sections. So for example, the summary. Who is going to be reading this summary? The experts, the Commission, and the public in the case of the summary. And what is expected and what they are evaluating. Okay, so in the case of the summary, which is going to be read by everyone, the experts, the Commission, and the public, remember that your summary will be published if your project proposal is successful. And this should be a brief but comprehensive overview of the proposed project, including its objectives, methods, context, and impact. We're going to be doing a lot of work on that. And then the excellence, which will be evaluated by the experts. And these are the points that they will be evaluating. And it's useful to know what they are evaluating. Then impact, you can see here that we have a long list of what is going to be evaluated here in impact, and impact is extremely important, okay? And we will see this during the course, and in fact, within the New Horizon framework, it gains even more importance because impact is equal to return on investment. If I give you some money to invest, what are you going to give me back? What is going to be the tangible result, the result that I can evaluate for my money, okay? And in the event of equal scores, it is the impact section that will tip the balance in favor or out of favor, okay? So we will be looking at all of this. As I say, if you want to read this in greater depth, you can at any time, of course, pause the video, or you can refer to your handouts. Okay, and then just to finish off this introductory module, we know that now 2021, which is the fantastic year when everything's going to change and be different, we have a new framework, which is Horizon Europe. Okay, we've left behind the 2020 and we're moving forward. It's taking much longer to come into effect than was expected due to the current situation, but you will find all the information that you need to find, obviously, on the official websites. Here you will see the pillars that support this new framework. And as I said, this course is really related to the language component, and therefore the big picture is for other experts in their field. Okay, so basically you will find all the information that you need. Basically the differences are related to improvements to optimize impact. We were just talking about impact. They are going to create a European Innovation Council, foster market innovation, establish ambitious research and innovation missions, promote new generation European partnerships, enhance the EU's research and innovation potential, improve dissemination and exploitation of results, encourage citizen participation via open science, that's interesting, and strengthen international cooperation. Okay, so these are the main differences or improvements that you will find within this new framework program, but otherwise, as I say, you should consult the reference documents and stay up to date. So that brings me to the end of this introductory module. As I say, we will be covering 12 modules in all, and I look forward to seeing you for module 2. Bye for now.